Yeah, right.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us for another installment of the Sandy Arts Commission meeting. So it appears we do have one absence this evening, which is excused, not a problem. We hope to see her back next time. I am having, are we to be looking at, the only thing I'm getting is the January 2019 agenda in my pop-up here. So
That's all you're getting?
yeah.
I've got the February.
How did you find that?
Just in the email.
Oh, in the email I went to.
Let me email
Yep.
Let's see.
I know it's been over a month since we've done this. That's okay.
I'm going to use that excuse every month.
It's not a touch screen.
All right, you get your email right here.
I see.
Go back.
Perfect. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think I sent you guys 2 emails. You'll want to take the first PDF, the first one, from top to bottom.
With the agenda on it, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, but not the HTML.
That's what I've got.
Yeah, the PDF one.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay, since we're all here, if you guys would do me the honor of honoring our nation's flag and the Pledge of Allegiance. Where is it? There it is. All right. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Let's see. On to the third point, which is changes to the agenda. It appears that we have added minutes from the January 9th, 2019 meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes? Is there any changes that anyone sees fit to make? Zach?
Becky emailed me like an hour ago, and I guess we had the former mayor, Bill King, still on there, so I went ahead and made that change. And we also, there's one more, what was the other one?
We had talked about changing the word incumbent to qualified applicant.
Mhm.
And because we had the shortened meeting, we tabled it until another meeting. So that's something we still need to change in our bylaws.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Is there any other discussion about changes to the January 9th meeting agenda, other than what we just discussed?
You mean today's?
Today's agenda.
I was talking about the
Today's.
minutes.
The previous
Okay.
minutes.
Yeah, previous minutes.
And then you have to approve them.
I guess we can't really approve the minutes until they've been amended, correct? Is that, you would discuss something about doing digital signatures?
Well, then I put changes to the agenda, just to make y'all aware, I just added the minutes. We do the approved minutes down the bottom.
Okay.
And we do it at the end.
Okay. Unless there's any further comment on that, looks like we have a section for public comment. I suppose this is a section where if we have a member from the public that would like to make any presentations, or this fine gentleman. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name from. It's been a month. I'm going to keep. I'm new here. I'm going to keep saying that.
Okay, I'm supposed to identify myself anyway, so for the record. Carl Exner, 40215 McCormick Court, Sandy, Oregon. One of the things that the mayor and I went to the city days down at Salem here about 3 weeks ago, was a conversation came up about having something to give to some of our representatives, and it might just be for anybody who would want to be recognized for the city of Sandy. And we didn't have any art that we could give to them as a say to them, here is something to remember the city of Sandy by. And it was one of those things where I looked on the walls and I saw something from Portland, and I saw something from Bend, and I saw something from other cities, and I was thinking to myself, where's Sandy at? So, one of the things I would say, if you want to put this on your schedule sometimes, and I do this only as a citizen, not as anything else, is that there's a way, and there's an iconic place here in Sandy that views the mountaintop. It's one of those beautiful places that everybody takes a picture of on Johns Road. And if we could do something that had that beautiful picture with Sandy, Oregon on the bottom of it, something that we could give out as a poster to people who we wanted to remember about the city of Sandy, and those kind of things would be just wonderful. I just would suggest.
We have all those posters. I have a lot of them at the museum.
That says Sandy, Oregon at the bottom of it? I didn't know that, so there we go.
Yeah.
Counselor, can I add something?
Sure.
And by the way, I'm Dave Snyder, the Economic Development Manager for the city. I'll be talking to you, all of you guys shortly. I have had commissioned a couple of times my uncle, who's a professional photographer, to come out and take pictures for the website specifically, but also for promotional and marketing materials and all of that. There's a section in the first shoot that we did that's got a number of really nice shots of Johns Root. You're more than welcome to those if you want to take those and play around. They're public. They're owned by, those shots are owned by the city, so we own all the rights.
There's a lot of great ones out there.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm going to post it, I can give it, says Sandy, Oregon on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that the.
now you're making me double. I've been looking at it for 8 years.
I'll go by and take a look.
Yeah, would you?
I can do that for, I would rather pay for it if it's already publicized, but if it hasn't been.
No, it's ours. You know, it was, we haven't, we're just selling them for $5, so.
Okay. Then I'll remember to do it. Pretty good size? Pretty good size?
Yeah, regular poster size.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yes.
In what form are you seeing these things from other cities? Just a poster or framed or?
Well,
How
yeah, we would
presented?
do that ourselves, I suppose, if as a city to give that to different people. But what I saw was posters. Some of them were just the 18 by 24 kind of a look, but there were a couple that were really
Were they
large.
framed or hangable?
Oh yes, oh yes. And these are in legislative offices down at Capitals in Salem, and you can see things that were put there, and they use them as a reminder. So I just know that people are thinking when they sit there and they're thinking about how to make decisions on legislative ideas about different cities and different subjects, that they were looking at those posters. And so I think it would be really good in that respect to be able to put something up for the city of Sandy to be remembered by our legislators. But I also think of things when people come through. We have people who are looking for businesses, looking for different kinds of events that might happen in the city of Sandy and those sort of things. And be able to have that ready and available to say, here's something that we'd like you to have, take back with you, have a memory of, be something that would be well thought of. It wouldn't be just a rolled up poster, but something framed up.
How big are those at the museum and how are they?
They're like,
Are they framed?
no, we have one that's framed that we show that's just in a poster frame. And it has edges on it, so it kind of looks like it's matted.
Okay.
It's not. So,
I'll look into that.
okay, do that. I'll be there tomorrow and I'll, first thing in the morning,
Thank you.
see if I'm cuckoo or not.
I was about to say, I have one of those posters in my car, actually.
Oh, do you?
I'm moving to frame it.
All these
And I was
years.
like-
So if you need us to do any more research, let us know if that doesn't suit you.
Also,
I'm
if
looking
you,
for something that was professional looking.
also, if you find a picture you like better online, it's very easy to put the printing over it. Her husband's pretty good at that.
I do
This would
believe,
be-
Or under
This
it.
would be a city project, something that the city would give out.
You know, Carl,
Right.
I've got another one there that local daughter or not daughter, sister and brother did. And I sell a lot of them because they're so spectacular and what they've done with the colors and so I'll show you that when you come in.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
and just to remind the commission and our public audience, Lou is a photographer as well. And
Yes.
also, if you need to just take pictures, you can do that as well. Utilize our
Oh, yeah,
resources.
that's true.
That we already have. And of course, David's offer too is good too. So just want to make sure we're all using
Yeah.
all the resources we have.
Good point.
Thank you for coming. Any further discussion on that? Would you like to move on to Mr. Snyder and his presentation? Welcome.
Thank you. So, like, again, and if you guys don't mind, I prefer to sit. I have a bad back, and it's kind of acting up tonight. But I'll speak loud.
They have microphones, so maybe it's
Oh.
over there.
Yeah, I can do
They can record it.
Oh, yeah, that's, I keep forgetting we record these things. Is that a little bit? No? It's
No.
fine.
So I'm the economic development manager for the city. In a nutshell, the economic development manager, at least in a city the size that we are, because I'm a one-man department, the economic development manager is basically the liaison between City Hall and business community. So most of what I do is interacting with business owners, property, and commercial and industrial property owners occasionally to problem solve and to see what we can do to move new businesses here and get our empty buildings filled. I recently did do a job description. This was from just, I believe, a year ago, and so I can give you something, kind of a general idea of, the different things that I do in a given day. Starting, let's see, business recruitment and retention. So going out, talking to businesses that are interested in moving to Sandy, and maybe talking to businesses that we'd like to see in Sandy, and have spaces to move them. Unfortunately, we haven't had a whole lot of empty available commercial spaces as of late, so I haven't been doing a whole lot of that, and the spaces that we do have seem to be getting filled up pretty well. This is a pretty good time for the economy, and it has been for a while. So the biggest problem we really see there is that we don't have enough buildings to fill. And that's not a bad problem to have. But so business recruitment and retention is a good portion of what I do. Manages and disseminates information relating to economic development. So I manage the, not only do I manage the economic development webpage on the city's website, I'm actually also the webmaster for the city. I'm not sure how I ended up in that role, but yeah, I do have a little bit of an IT background. I was a desktop support analyst for Nike at their world headquarters for a couple of years in a previous life. So I know just enough to be dangerous when it comes to the website. And so let's see, manages the city's economic development website. Actually, that's the entire website. And other media relations relating to business and city departments. So I talk to the paper occasionally about economic development topics. I have talked to the Oregonian a couple of times and some other newspapers around here. I've done a radio interview supporting the city and all that sort of stuff. So I'm kind of public relations when it comes to business. Assists incoming businesses with site acquisition, establishing financing, and business assistance resources, helps business get established and familiar with local programs and events, assists with workforce development issues. So I'm basically welcoming businesses to town and connecting them to different people and different services that they might need to start their business up. One business that was really, really helpful for was the Joy Teriyaki that moved into town a while ago. I got to know Justin Huang, the owner of that entire chain, pretty well, and I was able to connect him with a bunch of people that he needed to talk to get certain problems resolved for his business, which has helped him to be, which has helped his business to be really strong in Sandy. The Sandy location they have is one of their most profitable so far, which is amazing because it's also their newest one. So, so there's that function. Prepare economic development grant applications and manages the projects that are funded by those grants. There are 2 grants, both of which are administered by Clackamas County Tourism, that I applied. One grant I apply for almost every year, and one grant I have applied for a couple of times in the past. The grant I apply for almost every year is called the Community Partnership Program grant. That's administered by the county. They basically, what they do is they put a $20,000 pot of money out available for every community in Clackamas County, and they would like, the grant is open to anybody, not just government. It's open to private citizens. It's open to businesses, whoever wants to apply. The grant tries to create events or create infrastructure or something like that that helps tourism. And their definition of tourism is helps draw people in from more than 50 miles outside of Sandy to do something. We've used CPP grants in the past for upgrading the stage, the lighting, and the sound system in Mining Park. We've used grants, that grant to upgrade the signage in Mining Park. And the justification is we have the concert series there every year. And you'd be surprised how many people come in from outside of Sandy to go to those free concerts. The county's been very supportive of that. We used CPP grants to build this new arch that's right out here, the new entry arch. They paid for about 70% of the cost of that arch. So that's the grant that we use every year. And then there's a larger grant that Clackamas County Tourism puts out called the Tourism Development Grant. And that is that you can get a grant award from anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000. So that's a much bigger grant program. And it's used for more infrastructure type projects. For instance, if you're familiar with the Madrone climbing wall down on Highway 224, they use that grant as part of the funding to build all of the facilities down there, the parking lot, the lighting, the bathrooms, everything. One way I hope to utilize that grant in the future is for a similar parking lot in Sandy River Park. So hopefully that'll come to pass. I'm getting encouraged by that a lot. Oh, and then another thing that this CPP grant was used for was, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've made some very small changes up at Johns Root Viewpoint. I was approached by the person who runs Clackamas County Tourism a while ago, and he said that he had heard from tour buses that they were having a difficult time navigating that little lane in there because it was too narrow, and so they just stopped coming to the viewpoint altogether. And well, we can't have that. They actually paid for almost all of that. So what we had to do is hire we found that we didn't have the original blueprints for the park when it was originally created. So we had to have a surveyor come out and survey the whole place. And then we did what we call an auto turn report, which basically on a computer takes a computer simulation of a bus and goes through and shows you where all the pinch points are. So we knew where to move the curbs back and everything. And then we had a contractor come in, shrink all the curbs down and make the passageway a little bit wider. And then we replaced a bunch of signage, and we're going to make it look a little bit prettier here as the weather gets nicer. Since we've done that, I've noticed 3 additional tour buses that have come through there just in the last couple of months. One of them stopped at, and that's just what I've noticed, I'm sure there's been more of that, but one of them stopped at the Tollgate Bakery on their way out. So I went in behind them because I go in there almost every day on the weekends to get coffee and something sweet to eat. And I noticed they're bringing trays of things out in the parking lot. I said, what's that? I said, that's lunch for everybody on the bus, 105 lunches. I was like, oh, that sounds like a pretty good payday for you guys. And they all grinned and yep. So those sorts of things have real world effects here in Sandy and on at Sandy's economy. Okay, back to what I do. Where did I leave off? Prepares economic development grant applications. We went through that. I do staff reports on specific economic development proposals, actually, and which means I just report to City Council. Here's what's going on. Actually, I also do the staff report for my entire department, which is development services, which includes planning and building. So every month, if you read the reports for those departments online, that's me. Serves as coordinator and liaison between the city and the Chamber of Commerce, redevelopment agencies, county economic development and tourism departments, and private or nonprofit groups and associations interested in economic development. Used to be on the board of the Chamber of Commerce. I was termed out, so I had to stop this term. Redevelopment agencies, we basically, Clackamas County Business and Economic Development, I do talk with them a lot. Tourism departments, gosh, I talk with them, seems like almost daily. And private or nonprofit groups interested in economic development. The one nonprofit I deal with the most right now is Ant Farm. I'm actually on the board of Ant Farm right now because of workforce development. One of the things that I hear the most from businesses here in town, particularly restaurants, is that they can't keep a full staff to save their lives. And this is all of them, not just a couple of them. And you know, with this economy going really well right now, everybody who wants a job has a job. So they're having a really hard time retaining people. So Ant Farm, that's kind of what they do. Their mission is, if you're not familiar with the organization, their mission is to work with youth, particularly at-risk youth, to help them develop job skills. And those kinds of entry-level positions are exactly what they're looking to get their kids out into the world and filling. So I have been talking with some of our restaurants lately. It's getting a little better out there. They're able to retain their employees a little bit better, but it's still one of the biggest issues that we as a community deal with. So we've been working on that for a while. Monitors local, state, federal legislation and regulations relating to economic development, reporting findings, trends, and recommendations to supervisor. I haven't had to do much of that lately. Prepares, writes, and administers grant applications related to economic. Hey, that's in there twice. I need to take that. Establish and maintain positive working relationship with coworkers, citizens. acts as the city's official liaison ombudsman for the local business community. That's probably the best distillation of what I do, in one sentence. Acts as the city's liaison for tourism and tourism-related events. I do that as well. One of the things I've been talking with the county with lately is how do we get more people out here who, by using transit or bicycles, how do we get people without cars to come out here to use, because these people have money. I have two friends that don't own cars at all. One of them is a surveyor, and the other is, I think she's an RN, but they both make quite a bit of money and they have a lot of disposable income. And I'm thinking to myself, it's so easy now with the Mountain Express here, you can get all the way up to Timberline Lodge from downtown Portland and never have to use a car. I mean, you can do it all on trains and buses and all of that. So we're kind of exploring options of, you know, how can we promote this? Can we put together, hey, why don't you go do a day on the mountain for people who don't have cars? And here's a whole bunch of different things you can do, including stopping at the museum and visiting some of our restaurants and going up to John's Room and all those sorts of things. So, works with local, and this is another one I do a lot, works with local commercial property owners to market their existing buildings by maintaining a free available commercial properties database and through regular communication. If you go on the City of Sandy's website to the economic development page, the first action item you will see on that page is a button that takes you, or two buttons, one that takes you to our available commercial properties database, and the other goes to the available commercial lands database. One is buildings, other is buildable land. But anything that's commercial that's available in the city right now. So it kind of serves as a one-stop shopping center for businesses who are looking for a home here. They can go and look and see everything that, at least that I know of, that's available in the city all in one place. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from businesses that are really, really happy that I've done that. Additional duties, manages the downtown flower basket program. The reason that I do that is flower baskets are typically, that sort of program is typically started with a Main Street organization. Sandy no longer has a Main Street organization, but a lot of communities do. And Main Street is basically just a downtown association. So the Estacada Downtown Association is a Main Street organization. We used to have a Main Street. I was the executive director of that for a while. It dissolved because, quite frankly, we didn't have enough support from the community. And we ran out of funding and there was no way to fund it. So. And that just kind of stayed with me, which is very convenient because the business that waters our flower baskets is Ant Farm. So that's great. Also manage the annual City of Sandy Christmas tree lighting ceremony. That's me every year. So
fantastic job this year, by the way.
Thank you very much.
My children enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, no, and it's funny. It was something that was just kind of handed off to me at one point. I said, well, I'll do the best that I can. And over the last 5 or 6 years, that is now my favorite thing to do every year. It's so much fun to just kind of interact with the school district and the kids, and particularly the kids, but the young families, and getting everybody together. And there's nothing for sale. You know, we give away cookies and hot cocoa and sing Christmas carols, and if you've never done it, it's wonderful. And it's just so nice to have that one evening of non-commercial, let's just have a good time. So thank you, that really means a lot. That's awesome. Develops new economic development incentive programs. There has been one new one that we started last year called the Tenant Improvement Program. Are you guys familiar with the facade improvement program that we do here in the town? Okay, some of you are, some of you aren't. In a nutshell, our facade improvement program is part of our urban renewal district. What we do, we set aside a certain amount of money for facade improvement. The reason the program exists is we have something called Sandy Style in our code, which is prescriptive of, we want a certain look and feel to new buildings here in Sandy when they're built. So this is, and you can probably explain this better than I can, but it's sloped roofs.
Like the museum.
It's called,
yeah, like the museum.
Yeah, that was the
sloped
first
roofs,
one.
stone wrap bases, heavy timbers for columns, heavy timbers for support beams, metal bracketing. It's a certain prescribed look.
it's called chalet style.
Chalet style?
Yeah,
Actually,
I was on city council when they did that.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a mixture of Oregon rustic and what's the one you see in Selwood all the time? In older parts of Portland.
Craftsman.
Craftsman, thank you. It's a mixture, yeah, that's a mixture of those two different styles. But yeah, it's, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. Right, facade improvement program. So anyway, what we do is we set aside a certain amount of money, and it's a matching grant program. If you want to make upgrades to the exterior of your building, so long as you're adding Sandy-style elements to it, the city will reimburse you a certain amount of money for that. And for small projects under $5,000, we'll reimburse you 80% of the cost. We go up to $100,000 projects. At the $100,000 level, we end up reimbursing $41,500. So the more you spend, the less we reimburse. I think that's because they really wanted to focus on the small projects, assuming that small business owners, small property owners aren't going to have a ton of money. So they're not going to be able to afford to do those huge projects anyway. However, we're doing a facade project right now. We're just about ready to get started on the Sandy and Best Western, something we've been looking at for a couple of years. The owners finally ready to pull the trigger. So we're hoping to do our latest facade project over there. The tenant improvement program, which is a new economic development program, is the exact opposite of that. It's not for the exterior of the building, it's for the interior of your business, and it's only for restaurants and food and beverage-based businesses. And the idea behind it is council made a decision quite a while ago now, it's been like 8 or 10 years now, that one of their council goals was we'd like to see more and better restaurants here in town. Some of the restaurants we had back at the time were kind of hanging on by their fingernails, and we really didn't have a lot of variety in town. And it was something the council wanted to see if they could affect if they could. So we just started this program last year, and it's the same sort of deal without the range. We will reimburse you 50 cents on the dollar for, there's a couple of things that are called out specifically, a hood, fire suppression system, and grease interceptors for the kitchen. And then in the dining room and all of that, it's pretty much almost anything that's permanent. So we're not going to buy you new tables and chairs or a new oven or anything like that, but we will do flooring, painting, lighting, anything ADA is automatically accepted. There's a list of like 10 or 12 different things that we can do, but basically it's also to kind of help new businesses get started too. The first project we did like this was Brady's Burgers and Brats over here. He was willing to invest almost $70,000 in redoing that entire place to completely start over and give it a different feel. So the project cuts off after 50. We'll reimburse up to $25,000. So on a $50,000 project, we'll reimburse that. After that, it's all on the property. But he took full advantage of that. And I don't know if you guys have been in there yet or not, but it's a totally different look and feel. And I think he did a fantastic job with it. And they have fully ADA bathrooms now, which they never did, which is great. The second project, I just literally gave the reimbursement check to the applicant literally an hour ago. And it was to put a grease interceptor, which again is called that specifically, into payolas because the building is so old that it's never happened. So we're really actually very excited about the fact that we finally got a grease interceptor in there and they got everything going well. Denise Overton, the lady who's been doing the rehab on that, was very grateful for that. I had a long conversation with her today. It's coming along. And again, I don't know if you guys have been in there since it's been open, but it's looking way better.
Is she an owner? Is she the owner? Or?
She is not. Actually, the Paola family and the Pollock family have known each other for quite a while.
Right,
and,
right.
And Denise actually works for the Pollock family.
Okay. I thought maybe they had sold it.
No,
because
no.
all that sign went up
It's
and there
still
were
about
changes.
deals.
Okay.
And then the last bullet point here is works with the planning building department to discuss sign issues and gain compliance with local ordinance regarding local area business in an effort to solve issues before they're passed on to code enforcement. This is one of those things where people have like a vinyl banner up for a sign that's not loud or anything. Rather than just have our planning or building department go straight to code enforcement, I thought it would be a good idea if maybe I could go down and just talk to some of these business owners and say, hey, you should take down your banner before you do a fine. And that one little change has worked out quite well. I mean, I spent an hour doing that today. I talked to a couple different business owners about these things. And I get the sense that they do appreciate that rather than just being sent straight over to
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure you can appreciate
Oh, yeah.
anyway, that's kind of and sorry, that's kind of a shotgun blast of everything, but that's what I do. I'm also starting to work a little bit more with urban renewal now. One of the things I spent a lot of time doing over the last summer were these facade projects. Normally this is something that's run by the planning department, but it made more sense for the business guy to be in there helping out with that. And quite frankly, our planning director is a little overwhelmed right now with all the, I mean, in a good economy like this, we get a lot more applications for new buildings and such than we normally would. Pardon me. So I took over, and I've never done that kind of work before, but I took over and did some of the projects, actually all of the projects that we did last year, including Joe's Donuts. So that one was really, really fun. Normally when we paint a building, the code requires that we have a certain color palette that we work off of. Joe's Donuts and the Tollgate Restaurant
Not so
are
much.
two businesses that are called out specifically in our code that have exemptions to that because they have such unique paint jobs on them.
Oh, yeah.
When I told people we were going to do a facade improvement project on Joe's Donuts, and I told them we were going to paint the building, you would not believe how many people came up to me and said, "You better not change those bricks. We'll be out there with torches and pitchforks if you change those bricks." So, yeah, I had to tell people we're not changing anything. We're just making all the lines straight, and I can't believe how good of a job that they did on that. So anyway, I've been talking way too long. I'm sorry about that. Once I get started, it's hard for me to stop sometimes. Yes, ma'am.
I wonder if you've ever considered awnings to draw the city together, retractable awnings. I've seen it done in several cities where the name of the business, the address, and some kind of artwork is actually on these awnings. They're all the same color. In bad weather, they can retract them. During weather that's just normal, rain or sunshine, it gives protection for the pedestrians, so it makes it more pedestrian friendly.
That's an interesting concept. I will tell you this, the problem with awnings is the business owner and or property owner will never clean. That's the problem that we have with them right now. And we can't, there's no way in our code for us to get us to be able to enforce that. So we'd have to, it's an interesting idea though, and I'd be more happy to look at that, for sure.
Yeah, it seems like that matching grants ought to pay for at least half of the cost of
Sure.
those.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they wouldn't have to have all these little A-frame things out in front of their business saying who they were.
Right.
You know, they'd be easy to find and very identifiable. I've seen it done in several cities where different styles of building, but you didn't notice it because the awnings were all the same and very, very attractive.
Interesting concept. I'll take a look at it, for sure. Yeah.
Do you have any particular ideas yourself about how the Arts Commission might dovetail with what you do?
That's something that I'd want to sit down and give a little bit of thought to, but yeah, I'm sure there's ways that we can work together. Yeah, and I think probably the best way that I can assist you guys is maybe by getting you in touch with businesses in town that might be interested in supporting what it is that you do. And I think there are quite a few that would. So.
And also, if anyone has an interest in a new business here or upgrading their existing appearance, they come to you for a grant, with a grant?
Well,
It's an application for a grant?
Unfortunately, a lot of businesses don't know about the grants that we do have available here, so I need to find a way to make that information a little more accessible on the website. I'm working on that right now. But yeah, what they would do, if somebody was interested in that, what they would do, I would recommend first is just come and sit down and talk to me for 5 or 10 minutes and tell me what it is that you're looking at doing. But I can explain both of the grant programs that we have at that time. And then, yeah, it's a very simple one-page application. If TI grant was something a business would be interested in, they basically just give me their contact information. And on the back of the page, it says, describe what it is that you're going to do. And, 2 paragraphs would be plenty, probably too much. 1 paragraph would be about right. Just give me a basic description of what it is that you're trying to do. And then I'll come out to your business and we'll talk about it a little bit more in depth. About, well, here's what we can cover. Here are some of the things that we may not be able to cover that you want to do. Let's put together a project that makes sense.
This is for existing as well as potential new businesses.
The program was actually, the facade improvement program was actually designed for existing buildings. tenant, either way, it doesn't matter.
So you don't have any brochures that have this information in it that you can hand
I don't,
out?
and I really need to have some. Yeah, that's one of the things I need to, I'm working on right now.
Plus you'd get all that exercise walking through town.
That's what I'm saying. In the spring and summer, yeah, you'll see me walking up and down here with my coffee cup every day.
I have something, I'll start with the least important.
Yes, ma'am.
Since you're the webmaster, will you be more or less putting the Arts Commission web page together?
I can. If you guys give me the content, I'd be more than happy to set it up, sure.
Okay, so should I run that through you?
Yeah, run it
Okay,
through me.
so I'll run it through,
Perfect.
I'll just make some suggestions. The other thing is on the facade program, I think you had just come in, I was putting art gallery windows in, working with Hollis and the chamber, to make all
That was
those.
a little before my time.
Oh, okay, to make all those buildings that were totally blank looking look more lived in and
Mhm.
more attractive and businesslike.
Mhm.
And so I was really glad when they all rented out and
Yeah, me too.
town looked better. As far as the planning department goes, I know that you have certain codes, and let me just bring up one thing that is stimulating this thought.
Okay.
When think it's the service station down by the Fred Meyer that's on the highway,
The ARCO?
the ARCO.
Or EMPM.
I was reading an article in the Post about their complaint, which was we had to put windows in this back room where we didn't want windows to meet the aesthetic exterior that the city wanted. Well, in the future, if there's a situation like that, why couldn't we have a mural there instead of a useless window? I mean, there might be some other solution to the aesthetic problem that the city would be happy with and the person doing the construction project would be happy
Sure.
with.
Yeah,
So,
the
some
whole-
more choices.
The whole purpose of that, and again, I'm not a planner, so those guys are way smarter than me, so I'll keep it as simple as I can. The whole reason for that part of the code to begin with, as I understand it, is to break up that what we don't want as part of Sandy Style is these huge walls with no architectural or anything.
Mhm.
I think a mural, I mean, when you look over at the Ace Hardware over here, that entire wall, I mean, and we did that as a facade improvement program, or project. That whole wall doesn't have any windows and it has that big mural on it. I think that would probably be fine. That would be a discussion to have with my boss.
And you were-
Because it would serve the same purpose. It would, architecturally, it would break up that wall.
Right.
So you're not looking at these huge old, 70s style,
Right.
featureless walls. So, yeah.
Then I've been questioning who is actually working on what department or what person works on the Pleasant Street
That's also planned.
planning, and then the Sandy campus.
That's kind of that kind of spans across the entire city. The community services department, planning, Sandy Net is actually in the back building of the old school, so they have some input into some of that. I was responsible for the demolitions there, so we're kind of working on that as an organization-wide thing.
Well, I would be really interested in keeping abreast of that project and having input on the forefront art-wise
Sure.
as
Yeah.
things go
We-
along,
we'd
instead
welcome
of
your input on that.
retrofitting art to fit whatever was done already.
Right. I can also tell you that as part of that, one of the things that Kelly would really like to see, whenever we get to that project, and that's kind of up in the air. We don't know if it's gonna be next year, 5 years down the road, or whatever, because of funding issues. But one of the things that Kelly would really like to see over there is for there to be some sort of stylistic difference between the Pleasant Street section and everything else. And one of the ways we've thought to do that is to get a different style of street light, a different style of municipal bench, a different style of municipal trash can. and different colors as well to go over there. So like the rest of the city, the standard colors municipal and rental, which is really boring. He's thinking, why don't we do all the street furniture over there like orange or something? This is something that we would benefit from your expertise on as artists. I mean,
Yes.
we would really like your input.
So, I'm not sure how we can make that communication happen.
I can pass along. I'd be more than happy to.
When you said Sandy Campus, what are you talking about?
So Sandy
Old
Community
Cedar
Campus
Ridge.
is basically the pool and the middle school, that whole, and then the green space behind that.
Oh, okay,
The,
all right,
skate park and all that stuff.
got it,
I had
okay.
a little bit of knowledge in this area about the timing on the community center, and that's that the plan that was built has been completed and finished and not to the satisfaction of the city council. So what we've done is gone back to the planners who are contractors back east and said we'd love to be able to get some more look at that because the price tag was way out of line. Something like $75 million. You know, do that, and the city doesn't have that. That's the funding that David was referring to. So we're going to bring back the planners, have them give us a better strategy about how to fit that into our budget, maybe a phased-in approach or maybe some sort of less expensive approach. That's going to have to be put into our budget process, which we're about to begin. So it could be easily a couple of months before we end up getting some kind of budget allocation set up for another planning effort to make that right. So my guess is midsummer, sometime in there. And then certainly I'll make sure the communication goes to the city council about making sure you're getting involved in the potential art pieces and parts as well as the planning part.
Has the use for that building and the space been decided already then? How can an architect do anything but a shell? Or,
Well, they presented an alternative to us, a couple of alternatives, of which all of them were way too expensive for us. So what we did is we said this is not something we would accept because it's just too expensive. And so what we did is we said we wanted to see a downgraded, expensive-wise, and maybe some other alternatives. And one of the alternatives I thought of when they presented was that maybe we wouldn't tear down all the buildings, we'd use some of those in place and just fix them up. There's a number of problems with it, with environmental issues and ADA issues and just not in the right location. So there's a lot of things we would have to put up with, but there's lots of alternatives to make that happen. But again, we won't even see a presentation until later on this summer. And then once that happens, I'm sure you'll be involved in the presentation and see what that is. And as far as the council goes, we set up policy issues about how we'd like to see those alternatives. So one of those policy issues would be bringing the price tag way down. But those are how we would deal with the buildings, which buildings we would leave up, and what locations they are. As far as how they would look in terms of art, that's another step in that process.
well, also I was thinking the intended use of the space somehow can dictate the architectural needs. So, for instance, let's just say I was doing all the planning. I'd be going, well, we want to have a room that is big enough for parties, maybe wedding receptions, birthday parties, and city events. And we'd like to have a full-service kitchen attached to that. And we foresee wanting that facing out to the back where we're going to have a park. I mean, then I would have something, I would think if I were drawing the plan up, that would be specific to that need.
I would say the same thing. We wanted that for a long time.
Well,
I'm
the
just
original
saying,
plan-
how far along have you determined what you're gonna put in the building and what purpose it's going to serve?
Well, the purpose of the buildings was to benefit the senior center, community center for youth as well as the seniors. Also, the pool was supposed to be completed, and it is in the stepping stone of that completion. I think it's going to close down so they can finish off some more work, and there's more work to be done. Certainly, there's going to be a gymnasium of some kind, some of the party things you're talking about. Those were all categories that we gave the planner of what
Okay.
we wanted to see in that building. What they did is they, except for the pool, they were gonna tear down everything. There's a few things, there was a underground portion of one of the buildings that they thought they could save. That's what led to the large number, and I think what we're gonna have to do is relook at that and use some of the existing
I
buildings.
know those back buildings are in pretty rough shape.
They have hazardous materials in
Well, it's
them.
it's the front building that we're gonna probably need to get rid of. The back building, currently has sandy net in it, and
Yeah.
that building, believe it or not, would probably survive an asteroid strike. It's about as tough.
It just
building
needs a
as you can.
facelift then?
Yeah, probably, and we're still debating on whether or not, I mean, there's two proposals that I've seen recently. One is to just leave it the way it is with some modifications on the outside, and the other is to take the top layer of the building off and put parking on top of it, because
Oh.
it's strong enough that it can support that.
Huh.
Yeah. And we haven't,
Good
I
idea.
mean, we have a lot more thinking to do.
Yeah, that's just a project that I would be very interested in.
Well, I'm sure when we get to that stage, the art commission would be assigned that kind of a project to put up the art specifically. I'm not sure that the art commission would be involved in the location of the buildings and which buildings we will build and that kind of thing.
Well, part
Sort
of,
the public
part of what we're doing is not just physical art in public buildings, but we're supposed to be promoting arts and culture in the community, and one of the ideas of several of us have had is having a place where art classes can be given
Sure.
and things like that, so, and where events can happen that are based on arts and culture.
A lot of the buildings would be multi-use
Yeah.
and viable and open up to large facilities.
What's the square footage in that school?
I don't remember. Dave?
I'm sorry?
I don't know what the square feet is for the.
Yeah, we were just talking about that today. So in the back building, the square footage is, it's about 25,000 square feet per floor. Yeah, it's about maybe 26, 27,000 square feet. The front building, I have no idea, but I think it's a little smaller. And the reason that we're not keeping the front building is because, I mean, aside from what Carl outlined, also just because it's constructed very strange, and there is actually quite a bit of asbestos.
And then you said about the senior center, so would you transfer those programs over into that building and then sell that space for retail or
Those are
some
large
other-
plans that we haven't
Yeah,
decided
we
yet.
haven't made those decisions
But
yet. That is a
it would be
possibility.
very logical to say, we have a senior center now that's becoming at capacity. We build a building that would be much larger, maybe specialized for seniors only instead of a community kind of a thing. And I can see us selling that building pretty easily and putting everybody in a new place.
Yeah, if we wanted to sell the senior center, community center, if we wanted to sell that building, it wouldn't be on the market very
Yeah, commercial.
Yeah,
It's got a lot of commercial.
there's not a lot.
And the other big thing about it is, well, one, the upstairs space with the wooden floor, there's not very many spaces like that around. That's a great meeting space. We use it for large groups all the time. But really, it's the fact that the building has very well-established off-street parking.
Yes.
Parking lots are really hard to come by.
Yes.
And somebody's gonna make great use of that.
Mhm. Right now, there is an art room at the senior center where they have art classes. It's just that it's also used by a number of other things that makes it very difficult
Right.
at times, because the senior center really is over capacity.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it is.
We all understand that, yeah.
Do you see this as having rentable space? Would
Oh,
the big,
yeah.
okay, so
Oh,
this,
yeah.
Yes.
okay,
Yeah,
that's what,
because-
that's what it sounded like. I
Because
just
of the
wanted to
economic
make sure.
issues, finding ways to have income streams,
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah.
One other comment I'd like to make on this new building is that somebody was talking to me Sunday about there's no place in Sandy to have teen dances on the weekends. Where they grew up, they had a teen dance place.
Mhm.
And I thought, maybe in this new building, there'd be,
Yes.
some place
Sure,
where that
you
could
bet.
be an activity.
Although I think our friends over at the VFW would probably dispute that, but they're trying to find new ways to use that space that they have.
Oh, really?
Yeah, have you been inside there?
Well,
Did
yeah,
they
I've
redo
gone
it?
to the auxiliary.
Yeah, the upstairs of the VFW hall, gorgeous space, really
Huh.
gorgeous space.
Huh.
So,
Hmm.
I had the contractor come out to this space, about November 2017, I think. It was a while ago, he had brought the contractor out. Ken, the former city manager, wanted me, cause we guys weren't established yet, so she asked me to come with some ideas to give the contractor. And I have a list of things I said. One thing I said was office spaces, art galleries. I'm going for broad things right now. An auditorium probably plays, community events, musical events, presentations, or rent out space for fee. I said art programs, space for art classes, and I also mentioned installations for outside of a, public art outside as well. And so I can share this list with y'all, what I recommend to them. Now, like, Carl said, some of the stuff was, you gotta scale back a little bit.
There's a lot of
And
unmade decisions yet, so we
Exactly.
all those things that we get that.
But
plan built.
if you're not gonna do very much with the old buildings, classroom spaces or something would be,
That's the whole problem, is
Yeah.
the buildings that Dave was talking about are built in a long series of time and different levels, and some of that has got asbestos and lead, and
It's in pretty bad shape.
leaky problems, the stories go on and on and on, so,
maybe a project.
yeah.
Although nothing was as bad as that play structure that was behind the pool. Oh, Lord. That big cage that was back there. We have a group of, called Creatures of the Night that has been doing, the haunted thing in Mary S. Young Park in West Lynn. And they lost their funding there, so they're looking for a new home. And, Clackamas County Tourism sent them out here first, and so we're talking with them right now about moving the haunt out here. And I took them back there thinking, well, Sandy Community Campus, somewhere here would be a great place for this. And they took one look at that cage and they said, "Can we use that?" And I said, "No,
That's
not
perfect.
safe." Yeah. And they said, "Man, that is perfect." So, anyway, like I said earlier, I've probably talked enough tonight unless you guys have any other questions.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
And if anybody ever needs, ever has any questions or wants to get hold of me, feel free to email me or call me. Email is first initial, last name @citysandy.com, just like everybody else here at the city, and I'd be more than happy to do it.
And what is your last name, David?
Snyder, it's SNIDER.
but it still has to go.
It's on the
Yeah,
agenda.
just, you guys can CC me on that email, just so that, I know what's going on. And, one last thing, thanks Dave for coming,
Yeah, sure.
appreciate that. And I know he's probably late for David. Just talked about future staff members to bring to future meetings. It seems like one thing we need to bring is planning. I think everyone likes to see someone from planning, or someone from community services, I believe as well, and maybe someone from parks. Those are the three next ones I think would be useful to bring in. As you see, I don't want to bring all four of them in at the same time, because it'd take 30 minutes, an hour per person, so we will go one of those directions. I'll send an email to someone in the departments, someone from planning, community services, or parks come by. And I was talking to someone who works at Parks Advisory Board. Could be opportunity there to collaborate with them on a couple things too, move forward. That's kind of a broad picture, and so I don't know what that would be yet, but that's going to be something we will talk about later tonight, the action planning, things like that. So.
I thought the 5 to 10 minutes was not going to be enough.
No.
Yeah, you're right. That was me being
Never.
overly optimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went out thinking, but good call with that, Leah, and I'm glad I changed that, because I was being way too optimistic. All right.
Excellent. Okay, well, let's stay on track here. We have another guest in the audience. Did you have a presentation this evening?
I'm just here listening.
Okay, great. Well, I remember you from last time, and I thought you just might have something to add to the project that you brought forth before, but thanks for showing up. Yes.
Today, Thea did share me the application she created for that project, and I actually emailed that to you about 30 minutes ago while Dave was talking, because I didn't have time for him to do it. And on that email, let me go back to my inbox. Basically, updated PDFs. It was nice, with a professional looking logo and description about the actual project. And I was talking to Thea about this earlier, and it seems like she will still need a couple of people from the Arts Commission to be a judge or to help out with this project. And so that may be something y'all want to discuss. These volunteers who want to help out with that, or be a judge, or
Lou, are you thinking about being one of the photographers?
That I'm not sure of, but I offered to help in any way I can.
Okay, so she's having a meeting tomorrow night?
Yes, but it's have kind of an event planned already, but anybody's welcome to join. We start at 7. The library closes at 7, so if you could be there early, that's really awesome.
Seeing here, I know Lou asked this question earlier about a photo video release form. She did add that to this application, so that actually was a good contribution Lou had the other day, last meeting. So thanks for that, Lou. I'm sure Thea was really thankful for that. And yeah, just want to throw that in for Thea. I know she's been working on this project hard the last couple of months.
We do have a couple more months, and the committee doesn't need to be formed until after the event.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, sorry, Adam.
Oh, no problem. So I suppose that would be under some old business. Is there any other old business that anyone would like to discuss? We are kind of getting close to our 7 o'clock time, and so if we could keep on track and keep moving along, yes?
There isn't a Parks Board meeting tonight, but I do know y'all do have maybe obligations after this, so I just want to make you aware there's no meeting after this, but whatever y'all need to do.
Since we're getting short of time, I'd like to make one comment, especially to you. I was at the old new fire station today, and they took the old outdoor horn that they called the volunteers with, and they're using it as a piece of art. They repainted it, suspended from the ceiling in the foyer. It'd be wonderful if somebody could get a picture of that, and they know the history of it. They can tell you that too, for our art inventory. If anyone could do that.
Are they part of the city, or are they their own government entity?
Their county, actually. It's in the city of Sandy, but I believe all fire departments are under the county, aren't they?
In Sandy it is. There's some other cities that are not that way, but Sandy's is. They are not part of the city. They are their own fire district.
That's a great idea. I think that's a great idea.
But I think it's a beautiful piece now, the way that it's suspended up there. It's just that I don't have a camera that I can really do that with.
Just bring one question of an inventory. We had this conversation last time about what is going to be part of it, the stuff the city owns, or now we got a special district, which is the fire district, which.
I think it should be anything within the Sandy area.
I agree.
Yeah, there's some private art too that.
Well, I was.
Places, so I would say inventory at all.
Yeah, I was thinking we would have two things. We would have a city inventory, including a maintenance log that goes with it, pictures, historical information about the artist or how it was generated, that kind of thing, and that would be one thing. Then the second thing would be something like outside of what the city owns, but the fire department thing would be one of those things. In front of the theater, Sandy Cinema, is that statue. So we could have privately owned but publicly available to view things. Kind of a walking tour concept.
Yeah.
Eventually, then we could put something together that was, if you ever go for a grant, like I checked with the Historical Society, and they had to give their grant back that they got from tourism because the two volunteers were ill and unable to follow through with the project they had planned. So, sometime in the future, that still may get done, and we would have a resource of information.
And it might also be something wise to look at what the owner of the art has the ability to protect it. And so I don't know what the theater has to do with maintaining it, if they've got the money to protect it, if something were like a car would hit it or something like that. Those would be things that maybe ask that question. I don't know how that city would be responsible, or could be, or would want to be. I don't know how that would work out, but certainly a decision down the road.
Well, it is on private property, but it's considered a public building. And I know maybe Lou knows a lot more about this, but there are places where you legally cannot even take a photograph of a building and publish it because the architect owns the
copyright.
Yeah.
No,
so
if it's on a city street, it's fair game.
Yeah, but there are some buildings that you're not allowed to take photographs of, so.
In town here?
Only for
in
security.
Sacramento, my cousin is a photographer.
That's a outside discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole nother deal.
At any rate, I just wanted to know if there was somebody who could photograph that and talk to the police I think he's he's one of the
Fire
chief
captain.
people. And he has all the history of it as well. And I
Snyder's-
thought,
Russ
gee, this
Snyder's
should
the
be in our
chief.
art inventory. Because it is a piece of art,
Sure.
That is a,
It's an artifact, certainly. So.
Yeah, and it has historical significance. It's like, it's been there for like 50 or years or more.
so, I think before you take a picture of that, well, it's public, it is a fire district, it's public, that is a public entity.
Right.
So it should be okay to take a picture of that, include it in inventory.
Yeah,
Taxes
I talked to
taken.
him today, and he
Yep,
seemed to think it's
exactly.
okay.
It wasn't, it was for the fire district, but the people in the city of Sandy paid for
They
it.
did pay for that?
Their taxes.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So taxes
Yeah.
are paid for by different districts.
Yeah, sure.
So you have the city's taxes and you have the fire district taxes,
Yeah.
but they come from the same.
My fault, I thought you meant the city paid the art.
No.
No, that's what I was
No.
saying, yeah, I know the special districts things a little bit.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware they knew how the special districts worked out. It's kind of, sorry for the confusion there. All right.
Sounds like we've moved right into new business, so.
All right.
Let's just keep rolling with that. It appears that we were already talking about the art inventory. You want to have anything else to add about the inventory, how it's going, where they see that going?
Is there a list, or did you guys do a list, or, I don't
I
forget
don't
where
know if
we
you
are
were
on that.
at the meeting or not. Zach has started the inventory, and our idea is that we expand it so that the information has the location of where it is. As in the murals, they require maintenance on a periodic level, so if we kept a maintenance log on things like that, and eventually what this database can be used for is if we go for a grant, say a walking tour, or we put in a sculpture garden, it would inventory all of those things, and you can use that kind of information when you apply for your grants.
Yeah.
And so you've already done all the legwork, and it's there for you to pick out the information you need.
In my email to you, I think I explained that I found out that the fish that's at the transit center, which to me didn't have any connection at all, actually does, because the Water Bureau meets there in that same building too. However, I did talk to them at the transit, and they would like to have some kind of a metal sculpture or an artwork of some kind that represented transit in there. So that's an opening for us as well.
Or maybe outside in their plaza, so it could be
Yeah,
publicly
someplace
viewed.
where they're represented as well as the water department, because not only do they have the fish, but they have a waterfall too, which kind of represents the Water Bureau as well.
I guess the question he asked what the art inventory is. So looking here, we want maintenance tracking, which I agree with, photos, and other historical information. It gives more context, correct?
Mhm.
Now, are you guys seeing this going to the website eventually? That way
Mhm.
we see it?
Mhm.
Or something you just want internally? Or where do you, I mean, this is a very big picture here, so I'm just trying to get an
Yes.
idea where y'all see that going.
Well, I am hoping at some point that the Art Commission will have a page, a web page, or
That's linked.
Art in Sandy will have a web page. There are other Welcome to Sandy sorts of things, and I can't really say we are an art mecca at this point, but as things evolve and grow, people would have another resource, they could look at the website, or,
It would be nice if there was a link on our page to that.
yeah, just link from several different points, like new to the city, click on it, like
Yeah.
you do parks.
Right.
People
Yeah.
are always looking for things like that.
And obviously, this inventory will grow as we discover places like accidentally, like I did today,
Yeah.
where there are art.
Exactly, and I was talking to Jordan Wheeler, he's a new city manager. I don't know if you guys have met him yet,
Mhm.
but we were talking last week. And I was talking about the art inventory idea, photos, and the discussion that went to creating a brochure. I don't know if you guys ever thought about that. I know it sounds very simplistic, and But the idea being, for example, look at the city already has a Parks of Sandy, for example. I think the parks make this. Now, it could also be made a brochure going off that art inventory. You could go a couple along with this or something, or make your own. You guys can make your own for the public art here. I don't know if you guys want to pass it along.
That would be appropriate for an art walk.
Exactly.
When
Once we get down the line.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when we have enough to make it work.
Yeah, we're jumping the
I guess
gun
the thing
here.
is, you get the art inventory really going, when we get the art inventory settled, it can really lead to something
Right.
like a walk or a brochure, that people go, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
And so,
like that.
I feel like y'all's idea of the inventory is really going to.
It's a start.
It may seem simplistic,
Yeah.
but it does show there's something you guys are working on. It looks like it's gonna show the commission's doing something. It shows that you guys are building towards something. It's a good way to lay a foundation, and like Becky said, for future grants or anything like that, you guys will look at. It shows to other organizations they are working, and this is what they have already.
And some of the things that I feel like we need is getting a vision. Now, you were talking about a different style for Pleasant Street, a different look. And I agree with that, because you can advertise that section of town in and of itself if you can really make the community campus a magnet to get other restaurants and boutiques and shops, small shops that don't really need to be on Main Street for visibility, to be a symbiotic sort of a relationship on Pleasant Street.
But Pleasant Street's only a few blocks long. I don't understand how that's gonna work.
Well,
You don't need many blocks to get started.
I can explain something.
Yeah,
please.
if we're gonna buy up the houses.
Well, Pleasant Street is already designated as a commercial road, so all those houses and, of course, the school and the La Bamba and a few other commercial buildings that are along there, Old County surveyors and so on. It's about 5 blocks long, something like that. But that has all been designated as commercial quite a while ago, but it also is now in the planning stage for us to move towards our walkable part of the commercial part of the city. We've got the 2 Pioneer Proctor roads that have such a large amount of traffic on them, 45 to 50,000 cars a day going through there, so 25 both ways. Just makes it real difficult to do any kind of walking, any kind of sitting and leisure and that sort of thing. So it's Pleasant Street that looks like it's our future for the quiet part of town with commercial. We're hoping that the community center that we've been talking about the last half an hour or so will be one of those anchor places that once we start seeing rentable buildings, there's been talk about putting the city hall in it. There's been talk certainly about putting the senior center, youth center, a larger, better skate park. All the stories and things that we've been hoping and wishing for would be one of those things that would draw a lot of business there. And with that going on, I could just see a number of other businesses wanting to be close to all that traffic, being able to take advantage of that. So Pleasant Street is on a plan. It's about 3/4 of the way finished. The planner has taken some time off. It was a college student, so we're looking for ways to squeeze every penny we can and put into the plan. So that person has to come back and take care of that project and finish it off, and then get approval with the City of Sandy Council. One thing we didn't put in very strongly was some of the art potential categories that go there. So I can see that as an addendum to it before it gets passed. So make sure that gets into it. And so we're waiting for that to happen in that respect. So that's kind of a real short version of what's going on with the Pleasant Street master plan. One thing I was thinking about is there's a bunch of art in our school buildings. Have you do any inventory in this art buildings that are in our school buildings? I mean, like the high school has several pieces of art in it.
No, and they put some nice things in there when they built it, so.
I don't know the legal responsibility for that. You know, they have their own taxes and all that
Well,
sort of thing.
the school district is separate from the city, and so it would go on the publicly viewed maybe section or
Okay, so you're aware of
that
that.
kind of thing.
What,
Trying to remember if there was anything in the old Cedar Ridge building that's now heading towards our community center. If there was something in there that was art. I'm trying to remember, there was some, might have been some murals.
There was a mural and they were talking about taking it down or how they could preserve it, and I don't remember what occurred at the end.
Yeah, it seemed to me
That's in, I know in the old high school there
Yeah.
is, the Moby Dick that Scott, what was his last name?
Yeah, I can't remember, but I remember
Something
that's the one I
Scott,
was-
Scott's his last name anyway, painted, that people got very upset when they were talking about destroying that, because he's a world famous artist now. We're very lucky to have that mural.
Yeah, it would be the same legal issue about whether or not, certainly the school district owns it,
Mm-hmm.
how to keep it maintained, you know, if you want to have people go look at it, that might be an issue about permissions and traffic inside.
Yeah, we
schools.
definitely have to
school,
work with
yeah.
Oregon Trail
Yeah,
School
Getting on
District on
campus
this.
and
about that,
stuff.
but certainly art in the city.
Yeah.
Our taxpayers, which we are a part of, pay for a lot of the materials that goes in it. So there'll be
Actually,
some way to access those.
I'm not sure that taxpayers did pay for it.
Stuff in the new school, new high school, we did.
Oh, the new high school, yeah.
Well,
The mural, I don't know how the mural got put together, but it is certainly a piece of art.
The mural,
It was probably
Yeah,
out of
the old-
our teacher's pocket is what happened.
yeah, the old Sandy High School was in the library, and I think that may have been from Roman Scott, that was his name. It may have been private funds that he and his family bought the material with, I'm not sure.
But it's still a piece of art.
It's a beautiful piece of art.
Carl, when you speak about the Pleasant Street, are you talking Strauss and then heading east, or which section are you talking
I'm
about?
talking, top left, not top left, but the opposite of Wolf. For some reason, the name of the street right there by the 7-Eleven. What's the name of that?
Oh, it's not Alt, it's,
Mining?
No, it's
well, the
another
7-Eleven,
one.
between 7-Eleven and the old Wild Harvest building.
So it's not Tin Ike.
It's not top left either, it's,
Ten
Ten
items.
items?
there it is.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Wow, well, my mind is clear down to where used to be Fred's RV. I think it's Happy Times RV. It's that full piece of road to where the dead ends on both sides. And actually,
Oh, okay.
Pleasant does go clear up to the Lutheran Church across the street from the dentist office. And that-
Yeah,
right.
That's all Pleasant Street as well, but I don't think that
Isn't that-
was the part that we were planning.
Is that Shield Street?
I think that's Pleasant.
Well, I'm looking
No, no,
forward to
I
seeing
mean the
that
crosses
project,
it
too.
there.
Yeah. So it's that chunk of road on Pleasant from one dead end to the other.
Right, right.
Okay.
If you went straight from Dairy Queen, you'd go across that way. I know, because that's where my son got killed.
Oh, sorry about that.
So, really fast, remember Carl just mentioned a student that was working on Pleasant Street. And remember last year, she was doing a community, part of a master plan process, by the way, just in case you don't know, master plan process takes a while to do. And it can take years to do master plans. You have to get community involvement and responses, and then Leah, you know this from time in the city council. And one thing, her name was Emma, who worked on this, she asked me to develop some questions about public art as part of the questions community. And I remember she sent those to me, the responses about public art. So what I will do, I can take those questions and I can, I'll probably, I'll send you the answers, some of the responses we got for those. And they're wide ranging from things like, I love art, I want to see these things, to I don't care. And so I think it'd be useful for you all to see what the responses were from a year ago, and I don't really think opinions will probably change too much. So I just wanted to give you guys an idea as to what people will say. Getting really fast, not to take over, but getting back to the art inventory. Are you guys seeing this being something that you guys want a committee to handle, like a little 3-person committee to take care of? Or is that something you guys want me to be in charge of? I'm just wanting to get the directions where we're going on that, 'cause I'm still feeling very open-ended as to where y'all want to
That's
go
why I
with
wasn't
that.
clear on it.
I think it's something pretty hard for a committee to do by itself. I think we almost need to go out as members of this committee and explore the area, and as we find art, funnel it to you.
And then I just remembered, I think we talked about this last time, I need to create a shared document in the Excel, at least we have the text part of things. And I think eventually we'll put that into a Word document and figure out the photos and everything into that, but I think I'll share that document with you. And that way we all have, you guys can all see it. I don't know about permissions to modify, because I don't want too many chefs in the kitchen. No, because I don't want someone seeing something, seeing a little detail and changing little things. I don't know how y'all see that happening.
Well, my thought was that we find, if Excel you think is adequate, something that accepts photographs and the maintenance information, a section for the artist and some of the history and how it relates to Sandy. Usually the year it was obtained or circa something. Okay, so that document, if you want to be the keeper of the document, we can funnel the information to you. And Lou said that he was willing to take photos as he was able and as we needed them. And Leah's interested in the history and talking to the Historical Society about some of the pieces that exist. And the question I had before was, I don't know some of the pieces like Roger Cook's murals and so on. Who contains that information?
Yeah, and I know last time we talked about records and everything.
Records.
And I went and talked to the city recorder about that, because I felt out, because she thought she knew a lot of information. Well, I understand there's not a lot of information computer-based in some of these records. So maybe we have a whole kitchen full of records, paper records. So I don't know. And so the thought process was where to start with that, because.
Well, we could start at the Horace Historical Society and also Roger Cook's
Because
family
we just
on
did that
his
big
things.
Roger Cook
You did.
deal.
Yeah,
The
those
family
were-
came,
Right.
and we had all the stuff out
So we
there.
could start.
Yeah.
We could start with those pieces, and get the information on those and some good photographs and so on those.
Okay.
Some of them you can get from the location. Like I said, the fire chief seemed to know all about this horn that they're using. And same thing, I found out the information about the fish at the transit department by talking to the people at the transit department.
So what I'll do then, I'll share a spreadsheet with everyone. I'll do Google. I'll probably use Google Docs, which is something's part of your service for your email address. And what I'll do, I'll create different, cells. That way you guys can see different categories I'm going to create. If you see something that is not right, or you add something, let me know. I can do that. And then I'll make it viewable for everyone to see. And I don't want to be be too authoritative, because that's not the role I want to play. But I think permissions to edit may be limited. Maybe just so that we don't have too many.
Yeah. Well, we need that kind of
change.
structure in the
Yes,
beginning
we have more
anyway.
structure
We
to
have
it.
to.
So I will definitely do that.
Yeah, if you have a form that we can just click on and fill out when we find these pieces, that'd be wonderful.
Huh?
Well, we can take.
And then we could just
like
add.
copy the cells, print a copy of blank cells or something.
Or still for a template or something.
Template.
Yeah,
Yeah, a
template.
template. So
That's the name.
a template.
Okay, I'll do that. And I think the auditory just needs to be, I think it's something a good solid foundation for the Arts Commission and for the community too. 'Cause I think the community may not know what the city has. 'Cause
Yes.
yeah, I think every other week I get a new email saying she found something new. I mean, I'm not kidding. In the last 6 weeks, I've
When you start looking for them, they just pop up.
Exactly. All right, I'll do that for y'all. Luke? Sorry.
If I remember correctly, there's some of the artwork are in various offices and stuff within the
Mhm.
city.
Mhm.
Is it possible for you to send an email to the police chief and maybe upstairs and tell them that I'm going to be contacting them sometime in the future to just go in and take care of, photograph these items? So I don't just show up at the police station with my bag and a tripod and they're wondering who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
Sure.
Mhm.
I can.
Just wear your name tag, man.
We can definitely do is I can.
The
communicate
tripod in a
with,
rifle case.
Yeah.
I can communicate with someone in the police department, and I can CC you on that email too, Lou. That way they know it's these guys coming in to take pictures, nothing weird or anything. They should be okay with that. I never, this, of course, different, management took it over. I remember Kim saying, police chief is really, he's really okay with that kind of stuff in the past, so I don't see how that would be an issue at all.
Yeah, same thing with the fire department.
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy's name that gave us the, and I should be able to, I'm getting a senior moment here, who gave us the tour. But if you check at the desk, just tell him Mrs. Topliff from the St. Michael's tour that they did had said that he wouldn't mind and would it be okay. And so I don't think it'll be a problem. Because somebody took a phone picture for me, but that's not gonna
Did
do
you
it.
have your Arts Commission card? Okay.
Yeah.
Very fine.
Okay.
Is it,
Yeah.
sorry, I accepted.
No, that's fine. Anything else involving the inventory before we move on?
I'm picturing that this may be something that takes us 6 months to a year to draw it all together before it's ready to be in any kind of format. And of course, then it will grow from there on. But it's going to take a while for us to get all this information pulled together.
Well, I hope it
Oh,
does,
right, sure.
and the reason I hope it does is that means there's a lot more art in this town than we think there is. So,
Yeah.
There is a lot more art than we realize here.
Does anybody know in the Post, was it last week or a week before, there was a whole article about the Clackamas County arts, and they even have some of their art now at Ant Farm, and they're doing this whole big thing to
Was
put art
that
in
in
the
the
cities?
article about Micaiah, the young girl?
Mm.
Clackamas
You're
County
right,
Arts
Lauren.
Alliance has an exhibiting program, and they exhibit in
rotates.
their
Yeah, I
county
know about
buildings.
that one. I
and-
think this is something else. It's something I had never heard of before.
Well, the Ant Farm does displays all the time. They
No, I
always
know
have
they
art
do,
on
but
display.
I was just curious on who they have currently. I mean, what organization?
She's not really an organization, that's her own personal art business. What does she call it? Not Micaiah.
In the Post this last week was a young girl, 19, holding up a sunflower.
I don't think that's what you're
No,
talking about.
that's not what
No,
I'm
you're
talking about.
about-
I'm talking, this was a big full page.
I know her.
It's
I
an
know her.
organization out of Oregon City, I think. Well, anyway, I'll find that article.
The person who's there now is one person.
Yeah. No, it's not her.
Okay.
okay. So, what do we have left to do here? Consent of
Action
agenda.
plan.
The last thing I read down was discuss the development and action plan. Meet real fast. I guess the action plan is kind of outline the actions needed to reach some goals you guys may have. This is going to be a very broad thing, and we're not going to be able to finish this tonight because it's very big and broad, and it'll take some development on everyone's part to figure out what they want to do. Now, to me, an action plan is something you want to do with the next year, or something you want to do that coincides with the city's 2-year budget. You know, here we don't do an annual budget, we do a biannual budget. So every 2 years they redo the budget. So if it's something that you want to think about, and then you develop a 2-year action plan of where you want to go. And I don't anticipate you guys developing that in the next month, like exactly what. But I think it'd be a good idea to develop something in the next couple of months, develop what you want to do in the next 6 months or next year at least.
Yeah.
That way you can submit that potential to council, so they can see just what the Arts Commission is thinking, here's where they want to go. I think that'll help, you know, or you can present it to Carl, city manager, that way they can see where are we going to go.
I think that it's hard for us to develop any kind of plan without hearing from these other people who are supposed to
Sure.
come in, so that we get a broader picture of what it is that we are going to.
Yeah, I can't
set
figure
as
out where to
goals.
start.
That was very helpful. I have a lot of ideas came up tonight, just
Oh, yeah.
listening to
Exactly.
David. So
Yeah.
who do we have next
Um,
time?
I'm gonna email out, I'm thinking something from planning, maybe the best route,
Mhm.
or community services.
That sounds good.
I was thinking parks originally, cause after talking with you guys, I'm more interested in, I think like planning may be the best route to go, so I will send out
Yeah.
a filler to that. To figure out the best person may be.
Now, if Parks has a project in the works, then, yeah, we would need to know in order to be of any use in,
Right.
well, like, for instance, they put the mural on the play structure?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, if there's a play structure going up and they want artwork on it, we kind of need to, know that in advance. But if nothing is really being planned, then we could wait another month or two.
Yeah.
There was, I'm trying to think what commission has, I was talking to Jordan Wheeler about this the other day. And something like Centennial's Plaza, I looked it up, but I don't, my background information is vague on this. They want to put the idea was put these shades up or something, I don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but.
Shade sales.
Shade shells. I think that was Planning Commission that came up with that, I wanna say. I have to find it again. But it's something, but regardless, I think planning may be the best people to bring in someone from planning, from what I'm hearing. Is everyone in agreement with? I don't know if
Yes.
y'all.
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely.
I agree with Leah. I think it's really hard for us to be proactive until we can be reactive
Yeah.
to what's already been going on.
That being said, it would be a good idea to understand what kind of budget that we have to work with
Oh,
yeah.
over
That
the-
too,
over the
yeah.
next
I
year.
actually have that for you, if you want to know.
Also, under the Parks Department is where the Community and Senior Center fall. They're under that same department.
So Adam asked about budgeting, and I asked Tyler, the finance director, I asked him that earlier, and now
Kim said we had $10,000, she thought.
it's around that figure.
That was the last,
Yeah.
Before the new year. and I
She
don't
was
know
gonna be
how-
applying for
Same
grants,
volume.
and I don't know if
It's
that money was
now.
from a grant.
So, my understanding is, yeah, it's about 10,000, that number does seem right, and I cannot find that budget here, that number. However, found it. Available right now, this is, at the beginning of, this is, from what I understand, January. It was about $10,878. That's what we have right now in the budget. Now, grants or something that, when it comes to grants, things like that, I know there's a couple people on here who are grant writers who have some experience grant writing. I think I never someone
I've done that.
who'd done that before. Their grants, when I did my research about grants, a few months ago, there are grants everywhere. There are a lot of grants up for public art. The thing is, I'm thinking, since Becky, you've done some grant writing in the past, is you have to have, it's easy to say we want to have a grant. The thing is, you have to have a proposal.
Right.
What's the step of the proposal? How this helps communities? There's a lot of steps in development to do this, and they can take months to do that. So I think most of us know that. I'm not trying to talk condescending manner.
And a lot of grants require you to have a matching
Sure.
amount too,
And
so.
before you can even do that, you have to go, you gotta go to council, get the, touch city manager council, see if they like the idea,
Yes.
Well, knowing what the projects are, where the city is headed,
Mhm.
then we know how, because art can direct
100%.
people.
Mhm.
If you want to direct people onto Pleasant Street, then that's kind of the way you want to approach putting maybe a sculpture garden out in front of the new city camp, or the campus, or behind it in what's the jogging track and so on. If you're planning to make that into a park, or put any kind of landscaping around the building. Those areas can be very,
And landscaping itself can be an art as well. If you're wanting to draw people there, you need a way to get them to be interested in following this line with their eye back to that street.
Can I make a comment? Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay, but
One of the things.
I
watch
gotta
time,
kinda
I'll
get
jump
moving
quickly.
personally.
I had wanted to put together a meeting between the city council and the art commission fairly soon to kind of talk about direction, talk about some of these things you're talking about, where we're headed for, maybe get a pitch to us, the council, about budget and those kind of things. I was hoping to do that fairly early on, but we got into a couple of problems with some finances, and so some of the workshop periods that we had been looking at in the March timeframe kind of got used up for somebody else. Somebody else got a bigger crisis than you guys do. But I would suggest that maybe we look at something in that April timeframe about coming together between the city council, our commission, talk about what would be some of the direction that we could provide for you, and then you could feed back to us what some of the budgetary issues are, some of the possible projects. I'd love to talk to you about this shade sale thing. It's really an exciting idea, and I'd love to see it over here in the plaza. It's one of those things.
I saw the pictures, but I can't figure out what, what they're supposed to do.
Well, first off, it would be shade in the summertime, and
Yeah,
some of the different companies said that they could actually keep rain off of it, and so in the shoulder seasons, you might lengthen the time that you can use that. In the summertime, when they do the Mountain Festival, they use that as a place for the beer garden and
Right.
so on.
Right.
Sometimes it gets really hot there, so I think that's what that's for, but I thought of it more of an art thing than anything
well, yeah,
else.
it
You
looks,
see these colors,
it looks
so-
artsy, it looks great.
Okay,
I thought, but there's big spaces in between, so it's like shade, rain, shade, rain.
Sure.
Well, but you can put tables or.
They kind of overlap usually.
Were they over, okay, I just saw a picture,
I can send you some
In
of
the
the
paper,
background report on that that I
Okay.
put together, but I don't want to take a lot of time because
Yeah.
we're running out of that. But the subject I really want to make sure of is that I'd like to get together with this council and the art commission
Yeah.
sometime in that April time.
That would be
someplace
great.
in there. We have, before every one of our council meetings, hour before, between 6 and 7 o'clock, we talk about different items, much like this, and get an idea where we should stand. And it would be a great, I think, for spending an hour to do something like that, so.
okay,
I know I'll be sending some more stuff to Zach as we go along that way.
all right.
Well, the council wants to do that, we can just get past a couple of other items. Okay?
Good,
And
thank
just a reiteration, something I've heard in many forms tonight, I think the ultimate goal is just to be included
Oh, sure.
as the Arts Commission.
We want you
So,
to be included.
yeah,
Up until this time, we haven't had an art commission, and so
Right.
the projects like the master plan at Pleasant and all those other things just have been, getting them done is a big priority, and making sure that the art portions of those things are incorporated. We were hoping that that would be incorporated as an addendum, making sure that we don't forget it, but because we had to move forward. So,
thank you.
certainly
Everybody's
will be
learning.
incorporated now.
Of course, thank you.
Did you get an idea what this workshop could look like? I know the Parks Advisory Board in City Council are having a workshop, I think next week. I don't know, that's what I was told. I don't know. But how I say this, I'll probably gonna get a touch base with the person, their version of me, and talk to them how that went. That way I can figure out, see how that structure works when we do with City Council as well.
Okay.
So I will see, I may see an example of that coming up, and then that may help us out too.
I would
Especially in
really
parks,
like,
you're welcome to come in and sit
Yeah.
down, and listen
I would
to
really
them.
like to have these other people, department people, meet us first, so that we get a better cemented idea in our
Right.
mind before we go to city council.
Well, if we're not till April, this should be good to set up the.
Well, and I was looking at the meeting schedule for planning when they have theirs, because the public can come, we're the public,
Mhm.
we can come and
Yes, I plan to go.
listen. You can also, I watched the sales meeting, about the sales. Was that a work session?
Shade sales.
I watched that on the video live when it was occurring, and then I didn't have to get dressed.
If
Okay.
meetings
Yeah.
take place in the council chambers, they're live, like yesterday, I watched city council meeting yesterday.
I'll
'Cause
have to look at that sales one.
there's a lot of interesting things that get discussed, there really is, and
Yeah.
there's sometimes some funny things they say. And so, if you guys have a chance, tune in, it's on YouTube, really easy to find, it's on the city webpage
Yeah.
too, there's a link to it too.
Oh, it's on YouTube too?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, this is
You
on
are
YouTube.
on YouTube right now.
Right now.
Yep.
Well,
you are.
I'll show you how to.
How do we get, what do we, yeah, okay.
an official tour.
Okay, if that concludes that portion of new business and/or old business, is there anything further to come before the Arts Commission? As the minutes, do we somehow need to approve last month's minutes before we leave? How does that work, Zach?
Yeah, so the way we can do this is I made an update to it before we started. I can email those minutes to you. Or we can postpone it the next time.
Yes, let's
approve them
do
next
that.
time. We can do that too.
Would you guys like to do that, postpone
Yes.
them? Could we should
So
probably take a
you
vote
read
on
them?
that, wouldn't you
Read them.
think?
Yeah.
That's how the decorum goes, if we can have some of that this evening. So,
Mhm.
would you guys like to postpone that and have that signed
Yes,
next
I move
time?
that we postpone.
Everybody
I'll
would like to
second.
do that, please vote for that. Okay, looks like it's
Okay.
unanimous. All right. And
Who made-
Seconded it, who
who made the
proposed
motion?
it?
Get
I
that
did.
motion.
I would like to make that motion, that we postpone
I'll
until
second.
next time. Thank you very
Oh, I
much,
thought-
Commissioner.
He ignored me.
And
I
I didn't hear
made
you.
a
I wasn't
motion.
ignoring you. I didn't hear you. I didn't
Wait,
hear
sir.
you. Over here.
I know we're a little formal, but I
Yes.
motioned it, you seconded it, and you guys vote on that, please. I know that's a
Can we
little
please
formal.
vote on that? If you would like to postpone it, please vote now.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Okay, that being said, is there anything else to come before the commission this evening?
So we're gonna move the action plan forward to the next meeting?
Yeah, if you'd like to. We brought it up, we could put it in old business at this point, and
I think that give everyone some time to
Yeah.
kind of see. I think with
To make
David
a
talking, us talking a little bit more, I think, and of course having Carl here, I think to help you guys plan a little bit better in your heads. And the action plan, like I said, it can be a year, 6 months. You don't have to virtue your start. Sometimes low hanging fruit is a good place to start. It really is. And
it
so-
sometimes is the sweetest.
Exactly. Exactly. So, all right.
I
Okay.
make a motion, we adjourn?
Oh, what a wonderful motion. I will second that motion. Thank you all for
Aye.
coming. Thank you all. Yeah,
Aye.
would you like? Aye, 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 aye. Thanks for coming, everyone. Thank you for your time this evening. We really appreciate it. So,
We got a lot accomplished.
good night.
Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate your help.
And if you can remember, log out of your little accounts here. Just
Down at the bottom, it says log out.
The advantage is, you might think about this.
Where? When you close- when you X the page.
For the
Oh.
planning commission,
Mhm.
for the city council. We're the same process that you guys have, and so you might get some ideas about how to do it. And so,
okay.
I know they have different styles in the planning commission and in the city council.
I don't see a
Just
log
for a
out.
way to kind of look and see
Thank
what's
you.
going on.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm familiar with Robert's rules.